Chapter 20, A New Chapter Begins. The morning sun streamed through the library windows, casting a warm glow over the rows of books and illuminating the remnants of Elliot's grand gesture. A few flowers still lingered here and there, their petals shimmering with a faint magical light. Paige stood in the center of it all, her fingers tracing the spine of a beloved book, her heart full of the events of the previous day. As she heard the library door open, Paige turned to see Elliot entering, his arms laden with 2 steaming cups of coffee from Beanstalk Bistro. His face lit up with a smile that mirrored her own, and Paige felt her heart skip a beat. It was a simple moment, mundane even, but to her, it felt magical. "Good morning," Elliot said softly, handing her a cup. "I thought you might need this. Big day ahead, putting everything back in order." Paige accepted the coffee gratefully, inhaling the rich aroma. "Thank you. Though I have to admit, I'm almost reluctant to change anything. It's all so beautiful." Elliot set his own cup down and wrapped his arms around her waist, pulling her close. "Well, we can't keep the library as a flower shop forever. But maybe we can keep a little of the magic?" With a gentle wave of his hand, Elliot conjured a small vase filled with an assortment of flowers, a miniature version of his grand display. He placed it on Paige's desk, where it would be a constant reminder of their love and the magic they shared. Paige felt tears prick at her eyes as she looked at the small bouquet. It was perfect, a blend of the magical and the mundane, just like their relationship. She turned in Elliot's arms, meeting his gaze with a smile. "It's perfect," she whispered. "Just like you." Their lips met in a tender kiss, one that spoke of promises kept and adventures yet to come. As they parted, both felt the now familiar tingle of magic in the air. Books on nearby shelves rustled their pages in a joyful dance, and the flowers in the vase seemed to glow a little brighter. Laughing softly, Paige rested her forehead against Elliot's. "I think the library approves of us." "Well, it is where our story began," Elliot replied with a grin. "Speaking of which." He took Paige's hand and led her to a specific shelf, pulling out a familiar book, the very one they had bonded over during their first meeting. As he opened it, Paige gasped. The pages were alive with magic, illustrations moving and changing, telling not just the story written on the pages, but their story. "Elliot," Paige breathed, watching as a miniature version of herself and Elliot danced across the pages, surrounded by books and magical sparkles. "This is incredible. I thought we could add to it," Elliot explained, his eyes twinkling with excitement. "Every adventure, every moment we share, captured in these pages. Our very own magical storybook." Paige felt her heart swell with love. It was such a perfect blend of her love for books and Elliot's magical creativity. "I love it," she said, her voice thick with emotion. "And I love you." Their kiss this time was deeper, filled with passion and promise. When they finally parted, both were slightly breathless, their cheeks flushed with happiness. As they began the task of restoring the library to its usual order, with perhaps a few magical touches here and there, Paige and Elliot talked about their future. They made plans for magical date nights and quiet evenings at home. They discussed how to balance Elliot's magical experiments with Paige's need for order, finding compromises that would allow both of them to thrive. "You know," Paige said as she shelved a book on magical theory next to a romance novel, "I think I finally understand what you meant about magic being everywhere. It's not just in spells and enchantments. It's in moments like this, working together, building a life together." Elliot nodded, his eyes soft with understanding. "And in the way you organize these shelves with such care, in the joy you take in helping people find the perfect book. That's its own kind of magic." As they worked, they reminisced about their journey together. They laughed about their early misadventures, the runaway magical bouquet in the enchanted garden, the chaotic cooking class that ended with sentient utensils, the time Paige accidentally turned Elliot's hair into a rainbow during a magic lesson. "Remember when you tried to surprise me with that miniature galaxy?" Elliot chuckled, levitating a stack of books back to their proper place. Paige groaned good-naturedly. How could I forget? I nearly created a black hole in your living room. But you know what? I wouldn't change a thing about that night. It was the moment I realized that I loved the chaos you brought into my life just as much as the order. Elliot's eyes softened as he pulled her close. And I realized that your steadiness, your ability to find beauty in the everyday, was exactly what I needed to ground my magic. We balance each other perfectly. As the day wore on, friends stopped by to help and offer congratulations. Maggie and Jasper arrived with lunch, and the four of them shared a picnic on the library floor, surrounded by books and laughter. I can't believe you two finally got your act together, Maggie teased, biting into a sandwich. We were about ready to lock you in a room together until you figured it out. Jasper nodded in agreement. The whole town could see you were meant for each other. Even the magical community was rooting for you. Paige and Elliot exchanged a glance, their hands intertwining. Sometimes, Paige said softly, the most obvious magic is the hardest to see when you're in the middle of it. After lunch, Abigail from the bistro brought a cake decorated with edible flowers that changed flavors with each bite. As they all enjoyed the magical dessert, Abigail regaled them with stories of magical couples from Stardust past. You two remind me of Gertrude and Harold, she said, her eyes twinkling with memories. She was a no-nonsense schoolteacher, he was a whimsical wizard who could make stars dance. Everyone thought they were too different, but their love was the stuff of legends. They say that on clear nights, you can still see constellations spelling out their names. As the afternoon turned to evening, the library slowly transformed. It was still recognizably the orderly, welcoming space Paige had always maintained, but now it sparkled with touches of Elliot's magic. A few books now floated gently between shelves, offering themselves to undecided readers. The card catalog hummed softly, able to locate any book with a mere thought from the librarian. And in Paige's office, the magical vase of flowers sat proudly on her desk, a constant reminder of love's transformative power. By the time they were finished, the library had become a perfect blend of their two worlds, organized yet whimsical, familiar yet magical. It was a physical representation of their relationship, a space where order and chaos coexisted in beautiful harmony. As the last of their friends left, Paige and Elliot found themselves alone in the quiet library. The setting sun cast long shadows through the windows, giving everything a dreamy, ethereal quality. They stood in the center of the main room, arms around each other, taking in the fruits of their labor. It's beautiful, Paige murmured, resting her head on Elliot's shoulder. I never imagined the library could feel even more like home, but somehow, it does now. Elliot pressed a kiss to her temple. That's because it's not just your space anymore. It's ours. A little bit of you, a little bit of me, and a whole lot of love. As if in response to his words, the magical storybook they had created earlier floated off its shelf and opened before them. Its pages glowed softly, showing scenes from their day, the tender morning kiss, the laughter-filled lunch with friends, the shared looks of love as they worked side by side. Shall we add today's chapter? Elliot asked, a mischievous glint in his eye. Paige nodded, and together, they began to recount the day's events. As they spoke, their words appeared on the pages in shimmering ink, accompanied by moving illustrations that captured not just the events, but the emotions behind them. When they finished, Paige read aloud the last lines that had appeared in the book. And so, Paige and Elliot began their greatest adventure yet, a life together filled with love, laughter, and a perfect balance of order and chaos. They knew that whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them hand in hand, their love a magic more powerful than any spell. As Paige's voice faded, the book gently closed itself and returned to its place on the shelf. In the quiet that followed, Paige and Elliot shared a look of deep understanding and love. Ready to go home? Elliot asked softly. Paige nodded, but then a thought struck her. Wait, she said, a smile playing on her lips. There's one more thing I want to do. She led Elliot to the children's section of the library, to the very spot where they had first met. With a wave of her hand, a gesture that felt both foreign and completely new, their life together would be a grand adventure, filled with magical mishaps and mundane moments, quiet evenings, and spectacular enchantments. But through it all, they would have each other, their love a constant source of wonder and magic in a world that never ceased to amaze them. As they closed the book and shared one last kiss among the shelves, Paige and Elliot stepped into their future, a future where magic and mundanity blended seamlessly, united by the unbreakable bond of their love. And in the heart of Stardust, their story continued, a testament to the enduring power of love, laughter, and a little bit of magic. The stars twinkled brightly overhead as they made their way home, each lost in thoughts of the future they would build together. Paige, once so devoted to routine and order, found herself eager for the unpredictable joys that lay ahead. Elliot, who had once seen magic as a means to impress, now understood the true wonder of everyday miracles. As they reached Paige's apartment, soon to be their shared home, they paused on the threshold. This moment, simple as it was, felt monumental. It was the beginning of their life together, the start of a new chapter filled with endless possibilities. "Welcome home," Paige said softly, unlocking the door. Elliot's smile was radiant as he followed her inside. "Home," he repeated, the word filled with warmth and promise. "I like the sound of that." As they settled in for the night, making plans and dreaming of the future, neither Paige nor Elliot could imagine the adventures that awaited them. But they knew, with unshakable certainty, that whatever came their way, they would face it together, with love, laughter, and just the right touch of magic. And so, as the first page of their new life turned, Paige and Elliot drifted off to sleep, their hearts full of love and their dreams filled with the magic of possibilities. In the quiet of the night, a soft glow emanated from the magical storybook on their bedside table, as if it too was eager to see what the next chapter would bring. For in Stardust, where the line between the ordinary and the extraordinary blurred, Paige and Elliot's love story was just beginning, a tale of magic and mundanity, of order and chaos, of two hearts finding their perfect balance in each other's arms. The end.